Good evening, everyone. This is Cameron from Iron Mind Co. And by the topic that you see off the title, it's basically called Comfort is Killing You. And so the reason why I want to make this video is because I've gained a lot of perspectives over the weekend about what limitations humans place on other humans, on what's possible and what's not possible. Um, the I'm also going to explain my story as well of how my back's been against the wall numerous times and how my mindset's been has evolved over the last since childhood basically. Um, and I realized like everything was just based in comfort because like I think a lot of humans like to be comfortable and not face hard truths or they believe limitations that are placed on them by other people. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today because based off me healing, me isolating, I've thought about all this stuff. And this is why I created Iron Mind Code. Like, this channel is about talking about these things and actually, like, gaining an actual understanding of what all that means because I feel like most human beings can't really articulate it or they think it's too deep. And yeah, obviously, we're going to get into it right now. So basically, what I've learned these last couple days is by watching documentaries. There was one specifically that really hit me. It was called Project Iceman, and it was by Yes Theory. And this story was pretty cool. Like, so it was like this dude that was working in finance that um, felt against the wall, or his back was against the wall, and so he wanted what. So what he wanted to do was basically go to Antarctica, swim 3.9 kilometers of water in the ocean, also bike 200 kilometers on the ground, and run 200 kilometers on the ground. I apologize. Um, yeah, and he basically like quit his job and he put everything on this project. And obviously there was a big fear of hypothermia, um, things going wrong there with the weather. I think that's what made the documentary so real to me, and it really inspired me on like actually believing what's possible and what's not. Because I've had a lot of experiences where people tell me, always have a backup plan, always have this, always have that, and obviously that's what society encourages, right? But I've realized, like everything's a process. Like even if people are also scared of failure, and I realize failure is part of the process. That's how you get better, right? So um, yeah, so I'm just gonna talk about my opinion on like people putting limitations on other people. I think it's based off fear and what people like what people's reality are, right? Especially with what they've experienced. Because for myself, like it's basically like if you go up to a kid and you're a teacher and he's bad at math, right? And you tell him, oh, like you're gonna fail this test. You're gonna, you're not that good. I see a lot of like athletes even they get doubted by teachers or anyone, and I think it's pretty fucked up for especially any kid that wants to like achieve anything because it's like why are kids going to school to get told that they're failures, right? Like everyone's trying to figure themselves out, and for myself, I've been put in those situations numerous times by teachers, by exes, by family, by friends, any of it, right? And I always knew that I wanted more in my life. I just didn't know how to do it because I didn't have any structure on how to do it because I didn't really have any structure in my life and I didn't really have any that much guidance growing up. So it was really hard for me to understand why I wanted these things. But by experiencing fear and all the bad things, I think like I was comfortable to go to a dark place to understand like I'm deserving in these things. But not only that, but I'm also like my perception of all of it was wrong the whole time. And yeah, like this channel is based on me like or it's based on my experiences, what I've dealt with, what works for me and hopefully it could help someone else too, right? So personally, my opinion on that is that I think it's selfish. I think it's ridiculous that someone that's not qualified to tell you what's good and what's bad for you. Um, I just think it's like it makes me angry, honestly, because like people are able to achieve extraordinary things. It's just you have to set yourself to a higher standard and actually be able to do hard things to achieve in anything. It doesn't have to be anything like crazy, like if it's YouTube or having or a successful job. Like people don't have that mentality to just want more. People just want to coast, and I've had my lazy, like I've been lazy growing up. I could be honest about that, um, especially with me getting counted out of my life as well. I think by me learning those lessons, especially I'll tell you guys one story. So in high school, there was this teacher. So I went to a French high school, and we took this like big provincial test. Um, that's like mandatory to pass if you want to pass high school. And I always knew like in high school I wasn't the most liked, but I for some reason I was like a human punching bag for her, and I I at that time I didn't have my voice, I didn't have my confidence that I have now, and it made me realize, especially with this video too, that I watched on the weekend, like so basically what happened was that she told me I was gonna fail, and then I did the test, and then I passed. I passed by 20 points of the test. And a month later, I went up to her, I'm like, did I pass? And then she just gave me like a dirty look. And to me, that's ridiculous. Like, even if I'm getting counted out in my relationships, even on, like on my breakup, like my back was so like behind the wall that people were like expecting my downfall with everything I experienced. And not only did I not fall down, I decided not to quit on myself. I did the healing that was necessary, and obviously that's still a process. But um, this week as well, I started working out as well, and I realized as well if I'm gonna be talking about these things, I need to kind of hold myself to a higher standard. If it's by like improving my health or using my creative skills to promote this channel. So I don't want to just like spit out preaching if I'm not doing it myself. So I think I've been in the process of that. I've been reading books as well about mentality and stuff like that. And I've been also like watching like high end athletes talk about failure, how it like really changes their life because it makes them think in a different way. And I'm here to tell you guys now that the reason, like one of the reasons also why I made this channel, it's to also remove those limitations that I've had within on myself and what other people think is capable for me. And with Iron Mind Co., obviously my goal is to help people with mental health, with struggle, with depression, anxiety. And that's also another thing I forgot to mention. I think the way mental health is now, if you go to a hospital, like if you're having like a mental breakdown, which that's happened to me at a young age, like instead of actually helping the kid, they just shove medication down their throats. And why are we avoiding these problems? And we wonder why suicide rates are going up every single year when people are not actually taking the time to actually like help these people. And despite how weird people think they are, like I've also dealt with that. Like how after what I've dealt with in my life a long time ago at a young age, I was able to save this guy's life because everyone thought he was weird. Everyone thought he was, you know, this creepy guy. And what I realized, I was just present in the moment and I saved his life. He told me he was going to kill himself and he didn't, thankfully. Um, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I think no matter what obstacle you go through or whatever thing you go through, you can succeed. You just have to be able to go in that dark place because that's where the truths come out about yourself, about narratives that were in your life. It doesn't matter what scenario it is. And yeah, if you guys like this video, please give me a like or give me a comment how you guys think. And yeah, have a good night.